Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch. Every once in a while, we talk about something else crafty, but today it is all cross stitch. If you are new, I want to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play, and I hope you like what you see. Hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and just chat with me. I love it. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you as always. I just love all of you and appreciate all of you and the time you take to watch and to comment and to stitch with me. So thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. It has been 24 hours. I did not expect to be sitting here doing this video, and it's been crazy, and I've had to kind of adapt and change. So I said this morning, I'm gonna put on something bright and cheerful and pretty. Normally I wouldn't necessarily be wearing this kind of top on a Friday morning, but I needed it. Most of, it's all gonna happen. I'll talk about it in life, but it affected what I ended up stitching yesterday. It affected me answering comments. And I started to kind of chat with some of you this morning. I will go back and look. I've seen all of your comments. I always see them first. And then I go back and I have kind of chats with you all answering comments. I will do that. Normally it's a Thursday thing I do, and I just couldn't yesterday. It was a wild 24 hours. So I'll get to that later on though. Let's do some stitchy stuff and all that good stuff right now, and we'll chat life and all that goes with it later. You know normally that I do a Flosstube friend of somebody who watches me. I want to talk about them, and some of them you know about, some of them you may not. This time I don't even look at subscribers. I know some people are under the 1,000, so technically it falls under that under 1,000 sub club. But honestly, it's just, I don't even really look. I just watch and then I go. So I don't know what Debbie has for subscribers. But today I wanted to talk about Debbie. She is Owl and Gator Stitcher. And I think she's about 3 months into floss tubing. And I just have things show up in my subscription. So I don't know if she's every other week, maybe Flosstuber, I'm not sure. Debbie stitches all sorts of things, but she is a full coverage girl, and it's amazing. I've dipped my toe into the full coverage world, so I don't have a lot to show for that yet, but I love looking at when people do it because the projects are so beautiful, and it's amazing to me that all those X's show this beautiful final product. And so I always love looking at them, even if I don't do that many. Although I do like the one I am working on, so I may end up doing more down the road. But if you want to see a wide variety of stitches, but most especially a focus on full coverage especially, then check Debbie out. I will link her down below, Owl and Gator Stitcher, and you get a chance to see some fabulous stitching. Yeah, it's cool, and things that I wouldn't normally have known about for full coverage. So I kind of am learning something too. So anyway, Debbie is the Flosstube friend this week. Moving on to stitching. I'm a little, you notice I'm still kind of getting back my equilibrium. So I'm a little, I don't feel quite as smooth today with the video. So just work with me, please. Things are much better than they looked 24 hours ago. And in fact, things are, knock on wood, I don't have any wood, there we go. Knock on wood, things are good right now compared to yesterday. But I'm still, I'm a little tired and recovering from all of the kind of worry and stress. So anyway, we'll just soldier on though. Let's talk about works in progress. I have 4 pieces. I have no finishes this week. I'm getting there. I'm getting close to 1 or 2 finishes, but nothing that I've currently been stitching on would have been close enough to a finish for me to have finished this week. I did get some good stitching time in the beginning of the week because I was not, because I was not home. No, I was away for a little bit, which always it means I can have a little bit more stitching time. So some things got some pretty good work, but then, but now I'm home. So the first thing I want to talk about, I'm going to do my 2 spring pieces, because even though I have a theme for May and what I want to do for May, I love my spring pieces that I started last month. And so I wanted, every week I'm stitching at least on one of them. That was one goal that I wanted to keep, because I'd like to see some of these get finished. So I didn't want to just abandon them now that May came. I am not an all or nothing. Okay, this is the theme. It's the only thing I can stitch on. I'm a go with the flow kind of girl when it comes to that. But this one is Spring Daisies from Croccette Gogo. Now you've seen me stitch this one, and I will continue stitching it until it's finished at this point. This is what it looks like. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this because I don't need the full piece there. So close. I'm getting there. I am totally getting there. This is done on an 18 count Moroccan clay from Color and Cotton. And I know one of you mentioned you went looking for it and you could not find it. It is, I don't have the tag on here anymore. This was a fabric of the month, and I don't know if they just play around and dye colors for fabric of the month. I love the color. I might reach out, you know, I'll reach out to them and I will ask them about this. I'll ask them about their colors of the month in general, but this one is a gorgeous one. I don't know if they do custom requests. I could see so many things looking really good on this color that it really would be a nice color to their line. I know Color and Cotton have changed how they're doing it. They no longer have a huge range of colors and dye when orders come in. They now have maybe like a set of, I don't even know what it is, maybe, I'm just throwing a number out here, 20. And so that they can have more ready to ship items rather than the 6 to 8 week type of wait. But I will ask on this one. I'm curious now myself because I really like this color. I could see stitching a lot of things on it. But I am totally done with the border, everything matched up. And then I don't even know, I don't think I did any flowers this time. I really just concentrated on the greens. Like I said before, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 greens that you switch. So that's what I've been working on. But I'm almost there, and then I go back and finish, oh, actually, I think there's a flower here too. Finish these up. There is a little bit of back stitching along some of the petals to kind of have it stand out, and not in like a dark color. It's more of a beigey ecru, not ecru exactly, it's a little darker than that, but so it would add a little bit of outline to some of the petals. But it's beautiful. And it's a lot of fun to stitch. It's very well charted. It is the little stitch. Let me look it up again. I always, oh, it's Croccette Gogo. I already told you that. I get that confused. I was confusing her with Mary Poppins. The charts are fabulous. Really, really easy charts to read. So if you're thinking about one of their charts, I still had my eye on that summer one. I didn't get it this past week, but my eye is on it. So once I finish this, if I want to think about what's the next one from them, it might be that summer piece. So that's my first stitch this week. The second one is also a spring piece, and then we'll move into more of the May themed pieces. This is also from last month. And it's Lena's Fancy from Vintage Needlearts. Just something about this one. Really, really love this one. Love the colors and just the look of it. And here we go. So this is done on 18 count Summer Storm from To Dye for Fabrics. And what did I do? Well, so the flower is completely done here. There was a little bit left. Came down here. This whole section is done, and then I started to work from there. So now we come down here, finish here, and then there's a little bit here. Instead of the date, where it says 1916, I am going to do at least one more of these, I'll see. We'll see what it needs. If it needs 1 or 2, I'll make a decision. And then that area. So this has a few, it's a little bit not quite as far along as Spring Daisies, but again, a really nice stitch, and I'm really enjoying it. And totally different colors from my May colors. So it's kind of nice to kind of change it up a little bit when I want something that's a little bit different. But again, enjoying it, really like it. So when Spring Daisies is finished, this one might become my weekly spring piece, so to speak, because then I'd like to get that one done too. Okay, so May. What am I doing for May? I'm focusing on Halloween and autumn. Mostly autumn right now. There's not a lot of, there's really no Halloween stitches here, but I have a couple in the pipeline that I think I might like to do. And I'm starting at least 1 a week. This week I needed 2 starts, so I did start 2. I started a very, very small start last night, and also trying to bring back some of my older projects that maybe follow that theme. And that's what this first one is I brought this one back from, I worked on this, I think last fall, October maybe. It is Plum Street Samplers, Betsy's Autumn. And I just love this one. I love everything about this. I got some decent progress on it. So that's what it looks like far away. And then I did nothing on the border here. So I'm just gonna fold that up a little bit just to focus here. So I got all of the insides of these flowers done, this entire flower, these leaves, and then I started the roof. It's a big house. It's a really big house. And then down here, there's a whole row of grass. So there's some heavy stitching down here. So I might switch between some of the light, flowy, airy tree stitching to the denser stitching here. And I talked about changing the colors, where are they, of the pumpkins. And I'll talk about more later, because there's 3 pieces, including this one, that I'm reevaluating colors, because what they charted it in is more brown, and I want my pumpkins to be a bit more orangey. So more to come on that when I make some final decisions. This is done on an 18 count Honey Amber by Fabrics by Stephanie. And it's going to look very familiar with the next piece you see as well, because I did them both in the same color fabric. So let me grab that one from underneath Betsy's Autumn. Another Plum Street, Cinnamon Stars. And as I've said all along, I really feel like they are kind of great pieces to do as companions. And so that's why I chose the same fabric. So here we are in Cinnamon Stars. I'm enjoying this one. Again, another really nice stitch. I have not done a lot of Plum Streets before, but there's something about these two that really, really pull me in. So I got a decent amount done on this one. I definitely did all of this. There is like a house color in between that I haven't done yet, but those are all different colors. So there was a lot of switching there. And then I worked on all the flowers. And again, there's pumpkins here. And again, I believe, I don't know if it's the exact same color charting on those, but what I choose for Betsy's Autumn, I will then also do pumpkins, the same color pumpkins on Cinnamon Stars, because it's obviously 2 same colorways. Not only obviously is the fabric the same, but a lot of the shades are very, very similar to each other. So the pumpkins would work perfectly however I want to do them together, the same color. And as I think of these as companions, I think I'd like to keep that very similar. So those are the 2 last works in progress that I have. So that's 4. I have 4 things that I worked on that were carryovers from last week. And I have 2 starts, 2 things I started. One was planned, which I talked about last week. The other one, not so much. So this one, Autumn Avenue by Little Stitch. Oops, I don't want that part because I don't want to show anything I'm not supposed to. Autumn Avenue, Little Stitch Girl. So, so cute. Really cute. Now, I had a plan for this, and again, I think things are going to change just a tiny bit. this is where I got from my new start. So this is done on an 18 count Snirt from Mystic Fabric. And when I first did it, I was having some second thoughts because, okay, imagine this without the house, without that color. All I had was the swirls of wind and a couple leaves. This is supposed to be part of a bird, and the roof. And I looked at it and I said, oh, I'm not sure about these colors. Because when I pulled this fabric, if you look, the houses, look and see how the beautiful colors of those houses. They really looked good on this fabric. And then I was looking at some of the other things before it, and I was kind of like, oh no. So I said, you know what? I want to stitch the house. And I stitched part of the house, and I do really like how that yellow looks on this. So I think I'm going to keep it, but I am going to make some changes. So these are very small. You're not going to be able to see them. So see these color leaves? They're the same color as these trees. I am not, so it's charted in, she charts everything in Gentle Arts. I'm obviously doing the DMC alternative. I don't really like that color. So I'm going to, I don't know if I'll pull those out. They may just stay because they're small, whatever. But if I'm going to have two large trees on either side, I don't want a full tree of that color. I'm not loving it. So what I did was I went to Michael's and I just looked at their DMCs and I just picked all the different kind of yellows and oranges that kind of were the deeper kind of shades, especially for kind of fall and autumn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take probably a yellow and an orange, because the shade that's on here, it's more of like a weird green, but I think I'd like to do yellows and oranges. And I'll take two deep ones on that. I'll combine them and have a strand of each, and that's how I'll stitch the tree. If I feel so inclined, I might go back and pull those leaves out. The reason why I might was when I laid the white color on here, I said, okay, that looks fine. And in person, you can see it better than you can see it on the screen, but it's not popping so much. So I had a thought. And while I was at Michael's, I also pulled some blues and grays. And what I might do is combine them. And again, not like blue. There's a couple that might be too blue, but more of the grayish, and either mix with the white or mix two of those together if I feel so inclined. I'm not sure if I feel like pulling all that out, especially because you can see it in person better than you can on the screen. So I might keep it, I might not. I haven't decided yet. I think what I'll do is I'll start working on the other items here. And you'll notice there are some pumpkins. And whatever I choose for pumpkins on Cinnamon Stars and Betsy's Autumn, I might also use for this one. We'll see. I'm not sure what she charted her pumpkins as. I'll pull those out and I'll see. If I like what the charted ones are, I might keep them. And I might actually say, okay, what is that color and how does it look against these as well? Just to see. This one obviously is brighter colors than the other two autumn pieces, especially when you start adding the houses in and the little scarecrow. Whoops. Definitely brighter colors. But, so it's a little bit different color scheme than the other two. But I want pumpkins to look like pumpkins. So there's some color changes in my future for 3 of these pieces now. They might all end up being somewhat similar, but I definitely want to do some major with the trees, some major changes on this one. So more to come on that. I am not stitching the words. I'm just doing the other stuff. And my piece, I'm not sure. I may end up pulling out one of those pumpkins and only doing 2. And the sunflowers. So I have to really look at the sunflower pictures because this was done, the stitch was done on, and model stitch was done on a 28 count. And the sunflowers are done basically with back stitching. So again, because you stitch over 2, the back stitching is more conducive to the 28 count than it would be to an Ada. And I haven't decided, maybe I add I mean, maybe I do a version of these sunflowers instead and do a few of those. That might be cute, because those are stitched rather than relying on a back stitch that may not work hole-wise with the Ada. So that might be a cute idea, actually, now I'm thinking about it, is transfer those sunflowers to here, maybe make them a little brighter to go with this piece, but use the general design for it. So we'll see. So there will be some changes coming to Autumn Avenue a little bit. Some colors, maybe some design stuff. So stay tuned. I'm not 100% sure myself. Now the last piece here, let me pull out, it's a digital, so I want to show you, and again, it's one that needs to be seen in color, and my digitals are in black and white. Yesterday, I stitched for the tiniest amount of time last night, really not a lot. And I felt like I was just exhausted, but I wanted a new stitch. I just needed something new and different. So I said, you know what? I want to do this one in May anyway, so why not just start it? And this is called Autumn Towne, and it's from Autumn Lane Stitchery. Now, this is, if you're looking at it and thinking this is going to be really fun, it is, because I love the colors. It reminds me of Satsuma with all the bright, beautiful colors. It is almost full coverage. The blue sky that you see is all stitched. The only thing that's not stitched, you see the green in and among, that's kind of the grass and among everything. That's the only thing not stitched. Everything else is. So I can't remember how many pages this chart was. It might have been like a 4 or 6 pages, and the pages are full. I'll when I look at it this week, maybe I'll be able to come back with you for more info on that. So be aware that there's a lot of stitching with this one. And this is my little tiny minuscule start. It's done an 18 count fallen leaf from To Die For fabrics. And that's it. That's all I got. I have some sky and the start of one of the trees. I love the colors they've chosen for this though. I mean, the bright, vibrant, and actually I should look and see what they've chosen for pumpkins. It is charted in a few Glorianas, I believe. I'm doing DMCs. Some DMC, and then some weeks, 2 weeks Dye Works, 2 Glorianas. All that's been changed to DMC, and they do give DMC conversions. So thank you to Autumn Lane for that. And then everything else is in DMC. And what was really great is there are a few colors that either need, there's quite a few, that either need 2 or 3 skeins because there's a lot of repeat in some of these colors, and they provide all that information for you. So if you do decide to stitch this, you can, and you want to get it all done, especially with the weeks, I think they need multiple skeins, so you could actually get the same dye lot with those if you choose to use the weeks. But yeah, I think this is going to be a cute green. That's going to be the greenery among all of the houses in the town. So I have an Autumn Avenue and I have an Autumn Towne. So we're definitely working the autumn theme. But I will like this. I will like it. And it is very reminiscent to me of Satsuma, which I adore stitching. So I'm looking forward to getting some more of this done. And I'm really looking forward to all of the colors and the bright, vivid hues that they have charted that in. So that's my stitching. That's all I got. That's a decent amount. Plans. I don't know. I don't really know. I talked about in my head, I have all these plans in my head. When I was doing my May theme, I wanted to do at least one Halloween small, because I've talked about at some point having a little tabletop tree and decorating it seasonally. And I have some Halloween smalls that obviously make into little tiny ornaments and put them on that tree. And so I think I'd like to maybe try to do one of those this month, maybe. Or I would work on my Tiny Modernist Halloween calendar, one of those, which I haven't decided how I'll finish yet, but that would be a small. So it'd be nice to get, some of my starts here are bigger, so I think it'd be nice to get a little teeny tiny one in and have a really small one that I could start and finish in a short period of time while I carry over the bigger works in progress. Other than that, thank you so much for your support of me talking about the journals, scrapbooks, albums, however you want to call it. I'm really excited about it. I did remember this week, since I'm home, I wanted to show you part of why I'm deciding on doing this. So this right here, you see all this? These are all my finishes that are just sitting, not sure what to do with. Now, this first pile here, let me see. Those are all at some point seasonal ornaments. Okay, so we know how we're gonna finish those. And then we have my mom's pieces for her. Okay, so we know how we're gonna do those. And I do have my keys. Remember, I talked about how I wanna do that. But then, take all those off, and we have all of this. And everything I'm stitching now and will continue to stitch in the future. All of this is not gonna end up in my house. So if I don't figure out what to do with it, it will sit in a pile, and what a shame that is. So that is why I have really, really embraced this idea of journals, and I think I may have different sizes and types so that I can think about how to do things differently, maybe have some themes. And I was debating, because I know some of you had some questions about whether or not, once I have all my stuff together, whether to not do at times some extra videos like Flosstube extras and do some that are journal related. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in, so that I could talk through on this journal how I've done things or whatever, and maybe actually do something to show you somewhere along those lines. So if that is something you'd be interested in, obviously if you weren't, you just wouldn't watch that video. But if you think if enough people are interested in thinking about it, and I know a lot of you were like, oh, that's a good idea for a lot of stitches, especially there are things I want to stitch. I have no intention of ever putting them up anywhere. So then I'd feel bad if I stitch them if I don't have something to do with them, if I'm just going to stick them in a pile. But this opened up so many possibilities for me, thinking, oh, I could stitch this or this or this and have a place for it, and feel like it wasn't kind of a waste, so to speak, because I am definitely a process stitcher, but that doesn't mean to say that I want just a giant pile sitting somewhere. I'd like to at least have them creatively somehow finished, however you want to say. So thank you for all of your feedback. Continue with the feedback. And if you are, I know I did get some pictures. Thank you so much. Everything I get from people that have already done stuff is just food for thought. It just gets my brain moving. So if you know, whether it's emailing or DMing on Instagram, I'd love to see what you're doing. Or even if you've shown it, say on your Instagram, and you just tell me, go back to such and such, so I can see. I'd love to see what you're doing, because everything just keeps the motor running in there and ideas flowing, and maybe we can all help each other, so that, you know, you can only have so many things at some point. You run out of space. But I don't think any of us want to stop stitching then. So let's find some other ways to be creative with it. So that's that. All right, shopping. The tiniest bit of shopping. I have one, that's it. If you're here for shopping or haul videos, I guess people call them, I am not the place to be. I got my fabric of the month from Mystic Fabric, and this is May 2021. It's probably, actually by far, I shouldn't say probably, Mystic Fabrics is always the first one I ever get. In fact, this came, well, it came just at the end of last week. I think it was actually Friday. So that tells you the first week of the month. She is by far the quickest of any of my fabric of the months. And there is one I'm evaluating. It may be dropped because I still haven't gotten March, and we are already middle way through May. So we'll see on that. But then I'll be looking for something else. But this, if you have not, if you are part of Mystic Fabric's Fabric of the Month and you don't want to see it, look away, and I will tell you when to look back. I get 18 count Ada, so that will be the color dyed for that. And here we go. It's called Mint Julep. Isn't it beautiful? I have no idea what I'm stitching with it, but it is so, so pretty. I really, really, really like it. She was so funny because she, you know, when she does these a lot of times, she puts information in her Facebook group, and she was so excited about this color, and it is really a lovely color. All right, I've put it down. So if you want to look back now, and if you haven't gotten it and you want to be surprised, and there are spoilers on the Facebook group too. which I always look at ahead of time. I'm all about spoilers. Surprising me. Whatever. I mean, surprises are nice, but yeah, whatever. That's it. That's all I have for shopping. Nothing else. Now, giveaways. So again, like I said, I went through and this morning I went through and I made sure I got everybody who said the comment for the giveaway this week. And I did start answering some people. But I only had so much time this morning. I will get to this weekend. I'm going to sit down with a cup of tea and chat with you all from this week's comments. Because I just didn't have it in me yesterday because that's my comment day usually. So it will happen, I promise. This week's giveaway was Hare's Halloween from Plum Street. So cute. It's almost like a little parade. And the winner of this one is, pull the name apart, is Madonna Atteridge. So Madonna, congratulations. If you would please send me your address at either the Gmail account, you'll see the address down below, or feel free to DM me on Instagram name down below. I will be happy to send this out to you. It's super cute. It's actually, well, it's Plum Street, so I'm sure many of you know. It's nicely charted. I'm looking at the chart right now. Really nice, easy to follow. It'd be really, really cute stitch. So Madonna, congratulations, and get back to me. I'll send that out to you. Okay, so put this over here so we separate. This week I'm going with the theme. Last week was a Halloween. This one is more autumn. Since my May plans are revolving around Halloween and autumn, that's what you're going to see for giveaway stuff this month. And this one is Cricut Collection, and it is just called Autumn. And there it is. Super cute. Full disclosure, because sometimes if it bothers you, I want to make sure you know. When I was opening up the package, some things, and I'm guilty of it myself too, like I have things that are completely up to the top. And I'm always so scared opening up packages with my fabrics because those are usually just the right size. My scissors cut just this corner. So if I open it this way, you'll see that's all that's wrong with it. It has not cut into the chart at all. It will not affect your chart. But if that is something that does bother you, I just wanted to full disclosure. I accidentally snipped the corner off of the piece because I bought this for you guys as a giveaway. And then I was like, darn it, I just cut it. But luckily, no harm to the pattern itself. So this is this week's giveaway. So with the giveaways, I ask a question that I want you to answer, and then I also have a word. This way, anybody can answer the question, and if you don't want the giveaway, or you already have it, or it's just not your style, or whatever, you don't put the word in, and I won't put your name in. And a lot of times, my questions either have to do with stitching, or getting to know, or sometimes they're just out there silly. And this week's a little out there silly. But, I look at lists of questions sometimes because, the brain doesn't always come up with creative things. So this one's a little bit different. It's a little out there. But if you had the choice and somebody said to you, you could either go back in time and meet your family that has come before you, or you could go forward in time and meet the family that will be coming after you. So your ancestors or your descendants, right? I think that's what it's called. Which one would you do? Would you go back in time to meet those who've already gone, or go forward in time to meet those to come? So curious what you would do. And I had to think about this one because there's not a lot of family history, like there's a little bit. So I'd be so interested to meet the people, that have come before me. But at the same time, I really, really, really am so curious that, generations down the road from my children and grandchildren and way beyond, what they have become and their life is like and what life is like in general. So I think I would tip the scales to going forward to meet descendants, right? Those are the people that are versus ancestors. But I don't know. Let me know what you would do. And that can be anybody's question. And if you'd like to be put into the giveaway, I picked out this cute little guy up here. You say the word owl. There's an adorable little owl on the word T. This, while it is autumn, has a few Halloween themes items in it. So if you don't stitch Halloween, that either you would change it, like this pumpkin, you could make a pumpkin and not put a hat on it. And then there's a bat, which you just wouldn't stitch, I suppose. You could do something else, another bird. But I just wanted to make you aware that there is a little bit of Halloween items on this autumn. But I've never done anything Cricut collection, I have to say. Chart looks nice. Looking at the chart, it's charted in, looks like DMC or Anchor. Although there's some silken colors listed down below too, but she does give, she does give a DMC Anchor conversion. So, and there is 3/4 stitches, French knots, and back stitches for anybody who wants to know. So, would you go back in time or forward in time to meet those come before or come after? And if you want to put into the giveaway, use the word owl. So that's that. Okay, that's the stitching. If you are heading out to watch somebody else and stitch with somebody else, I hope you have a fabulous, lovely weekend and week until I see you next week. Be well. All right, life stuff. So last weekend I ended up, yes, I went to Delaware. I had a ridiculously quiet Mother's Day, which was fine. It was a lovely day. I went for a walk around the neighborhood, a nice long walk. And I stitched, and it was nice. It was really nice. The kids all, you know, from their, Megan wasn't home. Connor is ensconced in work, so the kids sent me messages and FaceTime me and all that good stuff. So it was nice, quiet but nice. And I was down in Delaware. I was anticipating being there till tomorrow, coming back up and doing all the good stuff. So yesterday morning, I was still in bed actually. I don't know, it was like 6:30, and I was, since I was down there myself, I was, you know, kind of lazy in the mornings because, you know, I'm usually awake, and by 6:30 we'd be up feeding the dog and so on and so forth. So I get a face, usually after the dog's done, you know, then Mo and I will FaceTime and, you know, chat in the morning, whatever. So the FaceTime rings. Like, I answer it and I say, "You're awful early. I mean, Shamrock wouldn't even be done with the stuff yet." And he's like, "Well, about that." So Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and he didn't hear a thing. He said, and he's a light sleeper, so I don't think Shamrock even whimpered. But Shamrock threw up several times in the middle of the night, had, you know, an accident bathroom-wise, which is, all of that is totally unusual for him. And he was fine the day before. He was fine on Wednesday. This all happened Wednesday night. He was not whimpering to eat. In fact, he had no interest in food, which we always know that that's an issue. If Shamrock doesn't want to eat, then Shamrock is sick. And so Mo was holding him while we're FaceTiming, and I could see him, like, Shamrock was literally shaking. Like, his whole entire body was just shaking. He was ill. He was ill. And before I started FaceTiming, so about 2 years ago, Shamrock was very, very ill. In fact, the vets didn't think he'd make it. He made it, and he's done fabulous. It was they never could figure it out. He has problems with his albumin levels, which I don't know if that's your liver or your kidney that it affects. That's under control. He just had blood work last week. Everything looked good. But at that point, he had severe GI issues as well. In fact, he was quite light. He had lost quite a lot of weight. So they had the numbers to the emergency hospitals on, and they were like, "You just take all this and go, blah, blah, blah." Like, they honestly didn't think he'd make it. So when he is sick, something like this is a concern. You know, the vet doesn't open. If it had been to the point where Shamrock ended up being in an emergency situation, there is an emergency hospital not that far away. Mo would have called them and taken him right there. But our vet opened at 8. Shamrock seemed to do a little bit better after 7 o'clock. So Mo said, "You know, I'm just going to hold him and hang out with him and call the vet." Well, in the meantime, I don't know what's going on. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, I got to come home. We don't know what's wrong with Shamrock. He was quite ill at one point. So I had no plans. I wasn't coming home until tomorrow. So everything was out and about. I threw everything into the van, just however you want to look at it, and jumped in there and drove home. It took me 5.5 hours of driving. There's a lot of traffic on the road. There was an issue up, and I always get, on the way back, I go, for my New Jersey friends, I go to Montvale, the rest stop, and there were issues. I mean, there was gas, but there were lines like you would not normally see. I've never seen lines like this, and there were lines for gas, so that made my trip longer. We were concerned before that I'd even be able to come home if there was issues with gas in Delaware, but there wasn't, so it was fine. So it was a really long trip, and my Bluetooth wasn't working on my phone, so I couldn't talk to Mo, and so I didn't know what was happening at the vet. So of course I was all worried. I get home, the vet did some blood work. They didn't have it yet. They were thinking maybe he has pancreatitis. He did come home, and he did eat a little bit, and he had kept it down from the time before I had gotten home, because I didn't get home till almost 2 o'clock. But then the vet called, and they had said the blood work is a little iffy. It could either be pancreatitis or it could be just GI distress. It's not 100% specific. So, you know, he was to eat low fat, which he generally does anyway. That's the thing. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of fatty food, maybe a little bit of peanut butter. That's the fattiest he gets. But we, you know, keep his meals as low fat as possible, little meals, whatever, and give him some, and then we'll see how he does. He was able to eat, and by evening he showed some interest in the food, which was really nice. He wasn't whimpering for it like he normally did, but he did perk up when he heard us doing it, and he did eat it. And he just, like last night, I sat on an incredibly uncomfortable couch that we have, but Shamrock could lay right there with me, and he basically just laid there with me. So this is why I only got a little bit of stitching. I mean, it wasn't the place to stitch, but I wanted to do a little bit to just keep my mind occupied, and he literally just stayed and laid with me the whole time. This morning we got, now it was like 6:30, which is later than normal, but we got a little whimper that said he was looking for food. So we are really optimistic. He is much more bright-eyed, and almost, you know, he's still, and he might not have slept well that night, you know, if he was feeling sick. They did give him nausea medication or a shot, you know, to help with that. So he's still fairly quiet, but he's a quiet dog. He's not one of those that's got to be gone for long walks and be tired out. He likes to chill anyway. So fingers crossed. Send any happy thoughts you might have that he is doing better. This obviously, pancreatitis can be a super serious thing, or it can be something that we can control easily, and I'm hoping it was just a little bout and not something that's chronic, because then of course I'm reading all about it, and you know, it can lead to other things, and then you worry, and I'm a worrier. I like to, as my mother used to, I'm sure she still does, would say it to me, but I like to borrow trouble, and it's a lesson I've really tried to take to heart as I got older, not to borrow trouble. And I do good at times, like when I was getting ready yesterday morning, you know, I started off frantically trying to get everything and worrying, and I just took a deep breath and I stopped and I said, you know what? We're not gonna borrow trouble, and we're just gonna get home and deal with things. And I was able to, which was a huge accomplishment for me, because I am the person that will find the problem ahead of time and worry about things that will never happen, because that's just me. I borrow trouble. So I'm trying to not do that, and trying to just stay with what. So I was exhausted last night. I couldn't, and I was sitting on the couch, so I couldn't go do the comments, and I really wouldn't have given you all my fair attention anyway. So I really do want to sit down and continue to answer your comments today and tomorrow, and just have chats with you when I'm a little bit more mentally there. I left my tripod down in Delaware, so you'd laugh at me right now. I have a step stool with about 6 photo boxes, and then my camera is on top. So don't ever think you can't do a floss tube because you don't have fancy settings or material things, you know, pieces to film. I'm literally a pile of photo boxes on a step stool right now. That was a creative thing we had to do this morning, so I'd have a place to put my phone. Other than that, I started taping late today because Connor got his second shot, so he came home. Took him a while. And of course, again, I was trying not to worry because I'm like, he had a certain kind of appointment. He should have been home by now. No, they were just backed up a little bit. But he was tired, and we ended up calling him out from school. So like if you have homework to do and projects to do. So the only way we're calling you out is if you do your work and do your homework and then drink lots of water and that whole bit since you just got your shot. Megan got hers on Monday, so she is almost, and she said she was just tired, but she literally had not slept over the weekend, and she's got a ton of work due right before final exams for this semester. So I'm not sure if it was because she hasn't been sleeping much or if it's from the shot, but you know, she's doing better as the week goes on, and she's looking at the end of the semester saying, it's almost here. I can get the work done. I'm almost done with it. So she'll be home in like a week and a half. They went later because they went back to school later, so they're coming home later than a lot of kids are from college right now. But in a week and a half or so, she will be back home. So that will be fun and nice to have. And other than that, not a lot else. I had a lovely time away while it was there. I'm obviously happy to be back with everybody family-wise, and my little puppy dog. I mean, he's not a puppy, he's 11, but he's my little puppy dog. He has always spent the most time with me, so he and I have that little special bond. So that I'm glad to be back with him, even when he is waking me up at 5:45 in the morning saying he's hungry. This morning we were never so happy to hear him whimper for food, because that means he's definitely feeling better, because of his condition, he's on steroids and he's always hungry. This poor little puppy's always hungry. So when he doesn't want to eat, you know something's seriously wrong. But yeah, that's it this week. I'd like to get some stitching in. I think it's supposed to be a nice week. Pollen levels, everything's yellow. I was a little worried I'd sniffle through today's video, but luckily I made it through. Me and Kleenexes are best friends right now. But I'm hoping the pollen is almost ready to work its way out, and we can get through that crazy. I hope it's okay where you are if you suffer from allergies. Cars are yellow and everything is yellow here, and it was the same in Delaware, so I couldn't even get away from it there. But anyway, that's it. I hope you are well and doing good and safe and all the good stuff all over the world. I love all my stitchy friends all over the world. And yeah, just take care of yourself. And I hope that you are getting lots of stitchy time in and some time for yourself and some self-care. And until next time, happy stitching.